cast adrift in the Indian Ocean is the ultimate lost world. Where life has evolved in weird and wonderful ways. Over 70% of its animals and plants exist nowhere else on Earth. One creature has captured the imagination of all who have glimpsed it. A ghostly spirit that dances through the treetops. There is a tropical forest in a distant land where the line between myth and reality is blurred. Its thick canopy hides an animal known to the local tribes as Babakoto, which means father. Local legend tells the story of a young boy who ventured into the jungle to search for his missing father. He looked everywhere. But he too became lost in this curious world and disappeared. Neither father nor son were seen again. But two human-like shapes haunted the trees. The islanders believe that the boy and his father were transformed into Babakoto, lemurs, otherwise known as Indri. And every morning, according to legend, father and son continue to call to each other. This magical story hints at the special relationship between humans and this most enchanting lemur. Looking into the eyes of the Indri is like coming face to face with family. And there is a very good reason for this. Lemurs are primates, distantly related to the same primitive ancestor that gave rise to the monkeys, apes, and ultimately to humans. Lemurs, such as the endearing Indris, are our very distant relatives. They live in just one country on Earth, an isolated island that lies 400 kilometers off the southeast coast of Africa, Madagascar. 1,600 kilometers long and over 500 kilometers wide, Madagascar is almost as big as France. It's the world's fourth largest island. It's a land of extremes, from high mountain ranges to parched deserts and lush rainforests. Indri once ranged more widely in Madagascar, but now they live in just 10 protected forests. One of which is known as Mantadea, isolated in the far northeast of the island. This is a natural paradise. A World Heritage Site because it is one of the world's most diverse rainforests. Mantadia National Park is home to around 100 bird species, 51 reptiles, and 84 amphibians, almost all of which are found only in Madagascar. Not to mention countless bizarre insects. This forest is a place of water. Heavy tropical rains fall almost every day, flowing into turbulent rivers. Mantadia's warm temperatures, averaging 20 degrees centigrade, maintain a moist, humid climate. Perfect for the growth of hundreds of mosses, ferns, and climbing lianas. As well as an incredible diversity of towering rainforest trees, creating a thick, leafy canopy. Which is home to Mantadia's collection of 11 rare primates, including the brown lemur and the black and white ruffed. But most charismatic of all are its indris. No one knows exactly how many indris exist in Madagascar, as they often inhabit remote forests. The island's total population is estimated to be anything from 10,000 to just 1,000. Indris are one of the world's most endangered primates. But because they have been studied in Mantadia, we do know a lot about their lives here. The course of one day in their forest home brings many adventures and challenges for an Indris family. The 5-strong Indri family have spent the night sleeping 30 meters up in the canopy. Creatures of habit, they are surprisingly late risers who only begin to stir around 9 o'clock. Indris live in close-knit family groups, headed up by a dominant female. Unlike other primates in many lemur species, females are in charge, taking responsibility for the fortunes of their family. At around 14 years old, she is already mother to a pair of juvenile sons. And there is a new face in her family, a daughter, just 4 months old. Taking charge of a toddler and the adolescents is a handful, but she has the support of a devoted male. Indris are monogamous animals, mating for life. This couple has reached a critical stage in the life of their family. One of their sons will soon become independent, whilst their daughter is in the vulnerable first few months of her childhood. Every day brings tough new challenges. How to find enough food for a growing family, defend their territory, and keep safe from predators. Indris, in common with all lemurs, have a long history of survival against the odds. Madagascar is the oldest island on Earth. Its story began around 90 million years ago as the supercontinent of Gondwana broke up into the continents as we know them today. As India split from Africa, a giant chip of land drifted far out to sea. Madagascar was born. Around 65 million years later, new life found its way to this lost world. Against all odds, a few castaways accidentally washed up on its shores. Including primitive primates from Africa. On a virtually uninhabited island, these early ancestors evolved, ultimately giving rise to over 100 species of lemur that live on the island today. Lemurs have adapted to life in Madagascar's varied landscapes. In the far north of the island is Ankarana, a natural fortress of stone. Here, crowned lemurs tiptoe on razor-sharp limestone spikes known as tsingi. In the cool highlands of central Madagascar lives the most social lemur, the charismatic ringtails. Living in large family troops, they are the island's most adaptable species, able to tolerate extreme heat or cold. And most widespread of all is Madagascar's strangest lemur, the nocturnal eye. This weird-looking creature carves out an existence using its elongated middle finger to extract the flesh of its food, including insect grubs and even coconuts. The eye is the most ancient lemur species, the closest living relative of those original primate castaways. In some parts of its range, it crosses paths with indris, such as in the rainforests of Mantadia. Today, like every day, the most pressing problem for the dominant female is finding enough food for her family to eat. Indris eat leaves, lots and lots of leaves. They spend half their waking lives eating, up to 8 hours every day, because the nutritional value of their diet is so poor. Compared to most lemurs, indris are heavy, weighing up to 10 kilos, roughly the same as a human toddler. The only way to maintain this bulk is to munch 1.5 kilos of vegetation per day. Naturally, the dominant female gets the first pick of leaves. Her long-standing partner is actually at the bottom of the family pecking order. Females can be aggressive if disturbed, so he keeps his distance while she's feeding. Female dominance has evolved in lemur society for a very good reason. Mothers take the best quality food, because they bear the burden of childcare. Producing enough milk for a growing baby requires extra energy, so the female must eat enough for two. The families synchronize everything they do. Soon the female's ready to move on to a new feeding patch. With her baby on board, Mum leads the way, followed by her sons, with Dad bringing up the rear. The family share their forest home with a variety of animals, each busy with the new day. Manta deer is home to colorful chameleons endemic to Madagascar, including one of the world's largest, Parsons chameleon. Unlike most lizards that live on the forest floor, chameleons are adapted for life in the trees. They have strong, grasping feet and a prehensile tail that can grip branches. So even this giant can climb. A smaller, short-horned chameleon is out hunting too. The daily dramas of manta deer's cold-blooded creatures take place quietly, unlike those of its noisy resident lemurs. Even louder than the indris are the black and white ruffed. It may sound like all-out war, but it's just a morning wake-up call. Lemurs have poor vision, so they communicate vocally and with smell instead. Ruffed lemurs call frequently to keep in contact and warn of danger. They may be noisy neighbors, but there is little conflict between manta deer's resident lemurs. The ruffed are fruit and nectar eaters, so they rarely compete with indris for food. Indris follow a daily path of around 800 meters on a circuit between feeding trees. Each day, the dominant female varies their route so they can exploit new areas. The family favorite on the forest menu are tender young leaves, making up over 70% of their diet. These grow best high in the canopy, where the female feeds. Less palatable are tough, old leaves. Unfortunately for the low-ranking father, this is often all he can find. Because the female doesn't allow him into the higher branches. But she does grant access to top-quality food to her offspring. Their welfare is her ultimate goal. And her growing sons are always hungry, so the family pack it in. Of all Madagascar's lemurs, indris are the most arboreal, rarely visiting the forest floor. They're perfectly adapted to life in the canopy and are accomplished leapers with strong muscular legs that are designed for power. Giant leaps of 10 meters or more seem effortless. As they prepare for the jump, Indris hold their body upright. Their yellow eyes point forward, enabling them to judge distance precisely. Indris have specially fused fingers and toes, giving them a powerful grip, vital for avoiding fatal falls. It takes young lemurs a year to master the art of leaping. In particular, learning how to calculate the most efficient route between the trees. Indris are part of a family of large lemurs. One of the most beautiful is the cockerel's sifaka. Like the Indris, they live in small family groups, but they make their home in the deciduous forests of western Madagascar. Unlike the rainforest, where leaves are always available, here they fall seasonally, and the sifakas must search widely for food. Like the Indris, they are expert leapers. They too can suspend themselves from high branches. And they have long tails that give them extra balance. They share their athletic build with other members of the Indris family. The Vero's sifaka also lives here, as well as surviving in Madagascar's rainforests and deserts. It owes its adaptability to its varied diet. Like all members of the Indris family, Vero's sifakas spend most of their lives in the canopy. On the rare occasions they visit the forest floor, they use both legs to hop sideways. But high in the trees, they are elegance itself. All Madagascar's lemurs have long tails, except for Indris. The Indri's tail has shrunk to just 5 centimeters, so it's barely visible. It remains a mystery why this lemur alone has lost the long tail, critical for balance in all other species. Like all primates, one of the Indri's other defining features is its opposable thumb and fingers, creating a vice-like grip. It is this, combined with their large size, long legs, and upright sitting position, that gives them an almost human-looking shape in the trees. No wonder the local myths depict man and Indris as one. But it's not just their looks. Indri family life also mirrors our own. Like us, both parents devote much of their lives to raising their offspring. The dominant female and her mate form their lifelong partnership when they reach sexual maturity at around 8 years old. Her boys may look like twins, but they are different ages. The eldest around 6 years old, and his younger brother about 3. They've each enjoyed their mother's undivided attention as babies, but now it's their little sister's turn. The youngsters rely on their mother to lead them and their father to defend the family home. After a busy morning, the family takes a short break. Leaves aren't easy to digest. Whilst they relax, their bodies are working overtime, fermenting the leaves to absorb the nutrients. This is a good opportunity for a grooming session. Indris groom using a specialized tooth comb. 4 teeth that are fused together. Even babies groom. It's a social skill used to gain favors, for a suckle, or to hitch a lift from mum. But this peaceful scene doesn't last for long. The juvenile males soon get bored. Troublesome teenagers are never relaxing company. They wind down by winding each other up. Their mother may wish to escape, but she can't get any peace. Her daughter wants to play too. And mum doubles up as a perfect climbing frame. The youngster has barely ventured away from the safety of her mother's belly, but now, 4 months old, it's vital she learns how to climb. Her mother's ever watchful. It's risky learning to leap by trial and error in the thick canopy 30 meters up. 50% of lemur infants die in their first 2 years of life, many from accidental falls. Madagascar has few venomous snakes, but this tree boa uses other methods to make a kill. Hunting both night and day. It detects warm-blooded prey using heat-sensitive pits on its snout. Females grow over 2 meters long. Her muscular body is designed for suffocating her victim before swallowing it whole. A tree boa will eat anything from lizards to bats, even small lemurs. But baby indris are not on its menu. Youngsters are far too active to ambush, and their mothers are ever vigilant. Born and raised in Mantadir, the dominant female has a complex understanding of life in this forest. She has explored every level of her territory and can identify around 76 edible plants amongst hundreds of species. Despite this, lemurs are not known for their intelligence. But they are inquisitive animals, and what little brain power they have, they put to good use. It's now time for the female to pass her knowledge on to her daughter. In 2 months' time, the baby will be weaned, so she's starting to experiment with solid food. Her mother teaches by example, carrying her around the forest, showing her which plants are edible. All the infant needs to do to learn how to find the perfect balanced diet is to reach out and grab a sample of everything her mother eats. At 3 years old, her older brother is now an expert forager, but still doesn't venture far from his mum. The eldest, now 6 years old, is much more independent. But he won't be sexually mature for another 2 years. So for now, the brothers can still indulge in some rough and tumble. But as with all oversized kids, it will soon be time to grow up. Our family, living in Mantadir, has the largest home range of Madagascar's Indri. Even so, its territory only extends to around 1/4 of a square kilometer. Just big enough to provide around 76 different types of leaves they need to power their energetic lifestyle. In this rich forest, with so many native plant species to choose from, it will be around 2 weeks before our family returns to feed at the same spot. So the trees have time to re-sprout. The ruffed lemur's family home range is 4 times bigger than that of the indris. They travel further in search of the fruits that make up 80% of their diet, and eat a greater range of Mantadir's plants, over 130 different species. Fruit and nectar is a richer source of food, so they spend less time feeding, just 1/4 of their day. Compared to indris, ruffed lemurs are less active, spending half their time asleep. But come the afternoon, even the indris are ready for a snooze. During the hottest months, daytime temperatures hit 30 degrees centigrade. Many of the forest inhabitants spend the day resting. Like this perfectly camouflaged Europlatus lizard. The humid air is thick with biting insects, which indris try to avoid by sitting low in the canopy. During the warm, wet season, indris are less active, and spend more time relaxing. Until late afternoon, when, like clockwork, the Indri's alarm goes off. The song is initiated by the adult male with a long, low roar. Each Indri's family has its own unique song. Their ghostly songs are high-pitched, so they penetrate the thick canopy and echo over a kilometer away. The main function of the Indri's song is territorial. Male Indris bear key responsibility for defending the family home. And today, the juveniles are joining in with their father. Mantadia extends to just over 150 square kilometers, so there is tough competition for space. Neighboring families each have growing youngsters who will ultimately compete for a home of their own. To defend their patch, male Indris patrol and scent mark along their territorial boundary, warning potential intruders to keep out. The adult male also continues to call to advertise his family's ownership. Neighboring families keep in contact this way, responding with a chorus. Indris are the gentle giants of the lemur world. Some other lemur species engage in aggressive fights with their neighbors. But the peaceful Indris avoid this, thanks largely to the territorial calling of the males. But in the family's urgency to patrol its boundary, someone's been left behind. The lost infant is vulnerable. Half dog, half cat in appearance, the fossa is the largest land carnivore in Madagascar. Semi-retractable claws and reversible ankle joints enable it to scale the trees, vital as 50% of the fossa's diet consists of lemurs. The Indris sound the alarm. The baby's back in its mother's embrace in no time. The greatest threat to Indris isn't their natural predators. Sadly, rainforest habitat, the vital living space for this endangered creature, is fast running out. Indri once inhabited a vast tract of virgin rainforest that cloaked the eastern side of Madagascar. But the trees have been cut down for use as tropical hardwoods to make way for cash crop plantations and for subsistence agriculture. 50% of Madagascar's forests have been lost in the last 60 years. Indri's numbers are declining fast and they are considered critically endangered. And it's not just Indris. Madagascar's lemurs are considered among the most threatened primates on the planet. This is not a new problem. Since humans first arrived on the island around 2,000 years ago, at least 17 species of lemur have gone extinct, most of which were larger than those we know today. Lemurs the size of gorillas and lion-like fossors once roamed the island's forests. Massive fossil skulls and skeletons of these long-lost beasts have been discovered across Madagascar. These giants were easy targets for human hunters and were driven to extinction. In some places, lemurs are still hunted. But with more local communities involved in conservation, this threat is decreasing. The greatest hope for Madagascar's lemurs is that their precious forests are protected. Indris will not breed in captivity, so their future depends entirely on the survival of wild populations, which makes sanctuaries like Mantadea even more precious. They have a good chance of survival, not least due to the special relationship they have with local people. Traditional legends are passed down to each new generation who respect Indris as the living spirits of their ancestors. And thanks to ecotourism, whole communities benefit from their lemur neighbors. As evening sets in, our Indri family regroups for the last meal of the day. It's leaves again. The juveniles have an insatiable appetite. They are building up their strength for the big challenges ahead, watched over by their parents. Their eldest son has 2 more years to prepare himself for adulthood. He will be the first to take his chances, crossing into neighboring families' territories in search of a mate and a new home. The little female will spend at least another 8 years with Mum and Dad. She may even have to share them with a new baby. As each day passes, she gets a little more confident, leaving her mother's side for longer, exploring the canopy a little further. Ultimately, she will find a partner and lead a family of her own. But for now, she can enjoy carefree play. As the day draws to a close, the family settles down in their favorite sleeping tree, safe in the heart of Mantadea. Madagascar is a lost world, where castaways have made their home in magical forests. And evolved into enchanting creatures. Living in a pristine rainforest sanctuary, the future is full of promise for one family. A tight-knit group who have made a life in the treetops thanks to their devotion to each other and the beliefs of local people. Lemur spirits of the forest that continue to capture our imagination. Imagine a mysterious land of unexplored caves inhabited by crocodiles. Sunken forests surrounded by lacerating spikes, where unique creatures tread a dangerous path in extreme conditions. With one eye on the past, another on the future. Living in a land of upside-down trees, spiny forests, and impenetrable jungle. This isn't a fantasy world, but a curious wonderland where nature has run wild. Isolated 400 kilometers off the east coast of Africa is the tropical island paradise of Madagascar. It's the planet's fourth largest island. It boasts an astonishing variety of landscapes from lush rainforests to semi-deserts. Madagascar is also the world's oldest island, with its origin in the Jurassic. Its story began 180 million years ago. At that time, there was one supercontinent known as Gondwana. But powerful tectonic forces were at work, and over an unimaginable amount of time, this landmass split into the continents as we know them today. Madagascar was born roughly 88 million years ago. Cut off from the rest of the world for millennia, over 90% of the island's animal and plant species are found nowhere else on Earth. Ancient Jurassic plants from Gondwana were the first life forms on the island. Isolated, these evolved into unique modern species, including iconic giants such as the island's magnificent baobabs. 6 of the world's 8 baobab species occur only on Madagascar. Island life created unique creatures too. Some ancient lineages, such as frogs and reptiles, were early passengers on the island ark and have adapted and changed in isolation. Incredibly, others arrived later as castaways washed up by chance on its shores. Remarkable survivors of a tough ocean crossing from Africa, probably on mats of floating vegetation. These pioneers discovered an island with diverse habitats, which they made their own. Today, there are over 100 species of lemur that all originated from one such event. Cut off from the rest of the world, Madagascar is the planet's ultimate biological laboratory, where being different is a way of life. The island's weather is influenced by a rugged spine of ancient mountains running north to south. These divide the island, rising to almost 10,000 feet in places. Created by volcanic activity following the breakup of Gondwana, there are no active volcanoes today. However, the mountains left behind have an effect on the surroundings almost as dramatic. They create rain. The eastern side of Madagascar is exposed to trade winds, laden with water vapor that blow in from the Indian Ocean. Forced to rise over the mountains, this moist air cools, condensing into raindrops. Heavy rains fall for 240 days of the year or more. The mountains effectively steal water from the rest of the island. As a result, Madagascar has a range of climatic regions, from warm, wet rainforests in the east to cool highlands along the mountainous central spine, dry deciduous forests on the western coastal plain, and parched semi-deserts in the south. Each region is home to life forms that have adapted to survive in challenging conditions. Virgin tropical rainforests cloak Madagascar's eastern region, home to more than half the species found on the island. The lifeblood of this vast forest ecosystem is water. Rain here is prolific. More than 2.5 meters fall every year, creating mighty rivers. Temperatures rarely drop below 25 degrees Celsius. Perfect growing conditions for tropical trees. Up in the forest canopy, leaves form a giant solar-powered factory, trapping sunlight and converting it to food. The factory's output feeds a vast array of creatures. Between 70 and 90% of life in tropical forests exists off the floor, up in the trees. Lemurs such as these Milne Edward siphakas are the most striking treetop residents. While they resemble monkeys, they are very different, having evolved from a distant ancestor over 65 million years. Unlike monkeys and apes, they lack true opposable thumbs or a prehensile tail and have a smaller brain for their body size. Milne Edward sophakas need to cover large distances in the canopy to find sufficient leaves, seeds, and fruit. These agile lemurs are the forest's acrobats. Lemurs are one of the most diverse groups of primates, and 1 in 3 species live in the island's rainforests. This means competition for food is intense. Red-bellied lemurs avoid this by feeding during both day and night, one of the only lemurs able to do so. This helps them carve out a niche all of their own. The eastern rainforests are also home to a multitude of reptiles found nowhere else, such as this amber chameleon, one of the world's rarest. Space is at a premium in the canopy, and individuals must defend their precious territories. And this male is broadcasting his message in full color. He's noticed a subordinate male straying into his tree. Puffing himself up and displaying his warning colors to show his displeasure, the resident confronts the intruder. The subordinate turns dark, signaling that he's backing down. He doesn't want to risk a fight. Chameleons have fierce teeth and can inflict nasty bites. Their jaws deliver the same bite force as a large dog. So fighting is avoided at all costs. While the canopy is a place of competition and conflict, in the understory, life is calmer. The trees above protect the forest floor, sheltering the inhabitants down below from wind and intense sunlight. Over 95% of light is absorbed in the canopy, meaning that little or no primary growth occurs on the forest floor itself. Most organisms here are recyclers, reliant on the fallen debris from above. Even giant fallen trees are slowly broken down and recycled by organisms such as these bract fungi. Nothing goes to waste. The forest floor is a unique microcosm, crawling with creatures. It's the last place you'd expect to find chameleons. They are specifically adapted to life in the branches and don't usually exist at ground level. Bruchisia chameleons are some of the world's smallest, no bigger than the width of a human thumb. This tiny creature has a trick to help it overcome obstacles. It uses its tail as a walking stick to negotiate its challenging world. More than 300 frog species occur in Madagascar, and the rainforests are hotbeds of diversity. None are more striking than the mantellas, whose bright colors warn predators that they are poisonous. mantellas do not produce their own toxins. Their poisonous skin is derived from a diet of ants and other small invertebrates. They are some of the most toxic animals on the planet. It's not only animals that use poison to prevent being eaten in the rainforest. Plants do it too. Some bamboo species contain toxic cyanide to avoid being eaten. 3 different species of bamboo lemurs live in the rainforest, and each of these is uniquely adapted to forage on slightly different parts of this giant grass. To avoid competition, golden bamboo lemurs have adapted to eat toxic bamboo shoots, despite the fact that they're laced with cyanide. Bamboo shoots comprise nearly 90% of its diet. And they eat as much as half a kilogram in a day, 12 times the lethal dose for an animal its size. Enough even to kill a human. How this golden bamboo lemur is able to tolerate these levels of toxic cyanide is unknown, but being able to do so allows it to thrive amongst its competitors in these crowded forests. Madagascar's eastern rainforests are one of its most diverse habitats. A biological hothouse, powered by the sun and fed by rain. This is in stark contrast to other parts of the island. Its mountainous backbone blocks moisture-laden clouds, creating a rain shadow across western and southern regions. It's the dry season in the forests of Indri. The trees have shed their leaves to help them conserve water. These deciduous forests are less diverse than the rainforests to the east, but they contain a unique variety of lemurs, all of their own. Vero's sifaka, one of the most elegant lemurs on Madagascar. Like its rainforest cousin, it's part of a family of large, athletic lemurs. Leaping is a vital survival skill, not only to travel and find food, but also to keep one step ahead of danger. Predators patrol these dry forests. A hunter specifically evolved to hunt lemurs, which comprise more than half of his diet. The fossa is Madagascar's apex predator. While he looks like a cat, he's more closely related to the mongooses. His retractable claws and reversible ankle joints enable him to climb. But the sifakas are already high in the canopy. This time, they have the advantage. Life in the dry forests of Indri must endure 6 to 8 months without rain. Rivers run dry. And yet, in places, there is still water. This small waterhole is fed by an underground spring, and it's attracting a crowd. Grey-headed lovebirds are flocking to the water. So too are Madagascar turtle doves. A Madagascar kingfisher is trying its luck. Where life gathers, there's always a watching eye. The harrier hawks hunt for birds, frogs, or even lemurs attracted by the water. This is a favorite hunting area in the dry season. A pair of crested drongos is finding relief at the waterhole. At this time of the year, many forest inhabitants are forced to rest up during the midday heat. Nothing is better adapted to the dry season than baobabs. Madagascar is probably best known for the baobabs that occur across the landscape in the Indri region. These giant succulent trees store enough water to survive the dry periods. Their bark has a waxy protective layer to further prevent water loss. Large individuals can reach more than 30 meters high, with trunks 11 meters wide, storing as much as 120,000 liters of water. They are ancient, known as the Tree of Life for good reason. One of the world's longest living trees, some individuals on Madagascar are more than 1,000 years old. Mature trees are often hollow, providing homes for animals, like this family of Madagascar kestrels. They've timed their brood to coincide with the seasonal rains. These will bring a flush of new growth and an explosion of insects. But in this part of Madagascar, weather is unpredictable. Late rains will be devastating for the kestrel family. All life on the dry western coastal plain of Madagascar is governed by the availability of water. Nowhere is this more evident than in the driest part of the island, the spiny desert of the far south of Madagascar. Located in the subtropics, this area remains dry throughout most of the year, receiving less than 400 millimeters of rain annually. It is an ancient landscape, dating from a time when the whole of Madagascar was a dry land. Of the 6 baobab species on Madagascar, the most unusual looking occurs here: bottle baobabs. This landscape is harsh and unforgiving. Its sandy soils do not retain water. And every plant that lives here is adapted to store water and protect itself against grazers who steal precious leaves. Some defend themselves with spines, such as these octopus trees. While they resemble a cactus, they are unrelated. Cactuses form thorns from modified leaves, while the spines of octopus trees grow directly from the branches and stems. The dry, sandy habitats are ideal for reptiles such as this oplurid lizard, distantly related to the iguanids of South America. It's not only the heat that keeps him on the move. A Madagascar ground roller is about, and lizards comprise a large part of her diet. But it's far too hot for hunting. She heads below ground to escape the dry heat of the middle of the day. As the heat intensifies, even the oplurid lizard slows down, languishing in the shade to escape the worst of it. A male suckerlarva weaver is feeling the heat for a different reason. It's breeding season, and he must win over a female by building the perfect nest. She has high standards. This is the fourth nest he's built, but she's still not showing any interest. She's looking for the fittest male to father her chicks, and she chooses on the basis of his nest building skill. He's not giving up easily. And this time, he's got it right. Perhaps he's the one for her. The female returns with nesting material, proof that she has made up her mind and found her ideal male. While male suckerlarva weavers create the home, it is the female who furnishes it with creature comforts. Domestic bliss. Rain may fall sparingly this far south on the island, but there is a more predictable, if unusual, source of water. Lichen blanketing the southern side of the trees and bushes is a clue to the source of moisture. Along this stretch of Madagascar's coastline, a northward current flows along the shore. This results in the upwelling of deep, cool seawater, which creates fog. As evening falls, the clouds descend, and the fog rolls in, depositing moisture on leaves and branches. This nutrient-rich ocean upwelling also creates bountiful resources for sea life and birds. This is the small island of Nosy V on the southwestern coast of Madagascar. Red-tailed tropic birds nest in loose breeding colonies on the shore. They are monogamous. Both parents assist in incubating the eggs and feeding the growing chicks. After the breeding season, they return to the skies. Eventually, the colony will disperse, individuals wandering the ocean until the next breeding season. The availability of water defines Madagascar's varied landscapes and its wildlife. From its lush eastern rainforests to the dry semi-deserts in the far south. between these two extremes are other unique environments shaped not only by abundance of water or drought, but also by water's power to shape the island's ancient geology. Nowhere is this more obvious than in areas along the mountainous backbone of the island. This is the sandstone landscape of Isalo National Park. It's been heavily eroded by water over millennia. Rain falls on these mountains in the Central Highlands as warm, moist air is forced upwards. The mountains are a giant sponge, trapping water and releasing it slowly over time, which means water is predictable. And where there is perpetual water, there is life. The rivers carve great canyons across the landscape, which was formed when Madagascar was still part of Gondwana. These canyons are vibrant oases, teeming with life. High above, on Isalo's exposed sandstone mountains, conditions are very different. Here, rare plants eke out an existence. This harsh landscape is home to a high diversity of succulents, fleshy plants that can store water. These are a throwback to when Madagascar was a much drier environment. The island has a unique population of distinctive species, such as this red euphorbia. It relies on insect pollinators and offers a rich nectar reward. Insects are drawn to the colorful flower, but beauty is often tinged with danger. A lynx spider lies in wait for a feast. But the spider itself is not immune to danger. A parasitic wasp is looking for a place to lay her eggs. Her target is the spider. She's persistent, aiming to paralyze it with her stinger. If she can immobilize the spider, she will carry it back to her nest and lay her eggs inside its body. After hatching, the wasp's carnivorous larvae will devour the spider alive. But she doesn't get the chance. The wasp killers are homing in. Another wasp is caught in the praying mantis's lethal grip. And the parasitic wasp has paid the ultimate price too. The tables have turned and she has ultimately fallen victim to the spider. Isalo's sandstone mountains have been carved by water over millennia, creating numerous homes for this unique collection of wildlife. North, along Madagascar's mountain chain, are other impressive landscapes, which have been created by the interplay of rock and weather. Ancient granite mountains dating back millions of years. None are more impressive than the giant domes of Indri Mountain, otherwise known as the Three Sisters. Granite is ancient rock, created by cooling bubbles of molten magma deep under the surface. It's so hard it resists erosion, eons of rain doing nothing more than smoothing its surface. These mountains are home to the largest population of ring-tailed lemurs on Madagascar. Ringtails are the most adaptable lemur on the island. They can survive in a variety of extreme habitats, from Madagascar's parched southern deserts in winter. These 1,400-meter summits are often dusted with snow. The ringtails here don't seem to notice. They have thicker than usual coats and have become masters at the art of rock climbing. Ringtails share their high-altitude home with a few other resilient plants and animals. They thrive here despite the harsh climate and terrain due to the availability of water, which collects in pools on the rocks, and an abundance of food in the forests that grow in the mountain foothills. Indri Mountain's resilient granite domes have stood the test of time and long resisted the erosive power of rainfall. But there is a place in the far north of Madagascar that is more fragile. Long weathered by storms, it's perhaps the island's most remarkable landscape of all. Ankarana is a natural fortress of stone, fortified by razor-sharp spikes known as tsingi. Only drought-adapted plants can survive on the exposed surface. This is one of the last places on the island you'd expect to find a lemur. But crowned lemurs are tough enough to survive here. Their padded hands and feet enable them to tiptoe across the razor-sharp spikes. They cross this formidable landscape daily as they travel between pockets of forest in search of food. This vast limestone massif formed approximately 150 million years ago in an ancient shallow lagoon on the shores of Gondwana. Over millennia, billions of shells of marine plankton, along with tons of coral reef fragments, settled onto the ocean floor. These sediments were compressed over eons and eventually turned into rock. This new rock was then pushed up by tectonic upheavals. The limestone exposed to the elements, revealing its fragile nature. Limestone is easily eroded. Rain wears away the rock surface, shaping it into jagged teeth and carving deep fissures. As the rain disappears into the cracks, it flows deep into the rock, forming subterranean rivers. These have carved the longest cave system in Madagascar and one of the most extensive in Africa. Ankarana's foundations have been eroded into a labyrinth of gigantic caverns. Caves decorated by crystals abound. Water, full of dissolved limestone, has dripped from the ceiling. Every drip leaving the tiniest layer of calcium carbonate behind. Roots from plants growing on the Tsingy surface above are encased in limestone as they inveigle their way through crevices looking for water. These caves are home to an unusual collection of subterranean creatures. Bats hang in the ceiling. The holes where they sit have been eroded into the rock over millennia by their slightly acidic bodies. Over half of all Madagascar's bat species make their home in Ankarana. Under their roosting sites, little piles of droppings, known as guano, feed a host of cave-dwelling animals. Scorpions, too, rely on the bats above. While they don't eat guano, they actively hunt the insects that do. But more formidable predators inhabit these dark caverns. This is Crocodile Cave, so named for the crocodiles that lurk in its depths. This is one of the only places on Earth where Nile crocodiles have adapted to cave life. Why they do so remains a mystery, but it is thought they may retreat here from scorching temperatures and as a safe sanctuary from human hunters. They may also come here seasonally to hunt the cave-dwelling bats, blind fish, and eels that live in the subterranean rivers. Perhaps the most impressive cave of all is the majestic Cathedral Cave. A hole in the ceiling allows a beam of light to strike the cave floor. The hole is growing. Slowly, the rock above is eroded until eventually the roof will collapse. These collapsed caves form sunken pockets in the surface of the Tsingy, which gradually fill with organic matter, forming soils where plants can gain a foothold in this hostile environment. Trees become established and grow into isolated, sunken forests. some are very different, such as trunkless succulents. They piggyback on the trunks of neighboring trees, reaching for the sunlight without investing heavily in their own support system. These unique forests are islands in a sea of rock. Madagascar is a strange, beautiful, unique world. With a staggering array of habitats and special landscapes. Mountain ranges dominate the island's climate and dictate the lives of its rare inhabitants. Steaming jungles are global hotbeds of diversity. Dry, spiny deserts bristle with danger. Everywhere you look, life here is simply distinct, spectacular, and unusual. Uniquely adapted to the variety of habitats found across this castaway island. Marooned in the Indian Ocean, there is a mysterious land. A fragment of rock cast adrift during the time of the dinosaurs. Isolated, it has become a biological melting pot, where nature has forged plants and animals found nowhere else on Earth. Predators lurk in the shadows. And lizards vanish into the trees. On the island of Madagascar, cold-blooded creatures rule. Madagascar lies 400 kilometers off the African mainland. Isolated from all other landmasses. Once part of the supercontinent Gondwana, it is the oldest island on the planet and one of the largest. Madagascar began its isolation around 180 million years ago, when Gondwana began to break apart into the continents we know today. Its massive size and 88 million year isolation are responsible for the unique plants and animals that live on the island today. Their ancestors were either trapped aboard during its separation or colonized its shores at a later date, arriving on floating rafts of vegetation. Madagascar is now home to an incredible number of iconic species. From its alluring lemurs to its predatory fossa. Nearly everything living here is unique. More than 70% of all life occurs nowhere else on Earth. But there is also a caste of less-known creatures, boasting extraordinary diversity and unique adaptations. They play out their lives in the island's hidden corners. From the wettest forests to the driest deserts. Over the millennia, Madagascar's frogs, snakes, chameleons, and lizards have diversified and spread into all of the island's many habitats. From the mountain tops to the forest floor, Madagascar has an incredible variety. Almost 400 species of reptiles live on the island alone. 90% of which are found nowhere else on Earth. All but one of its frogs are unique to these shores. And its diversity of chameleons is unparalleled, powering their bodies not only with food, but also with heat taken directly from the sun. This unique and charismatic caste of cold-blooded creatures thrive. Of all Madagascar's cold-blooded creatures, chameleons are the most impressive. The island is home to almost half of the world's species. From the largest to the smallest. In many regions, chameleons are respected like gods. And their incredible ability to rotate and focus both their eyes independently has given rise to a well-known local proverb. Keep one eye on the future and one eye on the past. This adaptation not only offers a 360-degree view, it also allows them to tune into two separate objects at the same time, allowing them to judge distance accurately, which is ideal for hunting in these forests. The male Parsons chameleon is the king of the island's lizards. The largest chameleon in the world, they can grow to almost 70 centimeters long. These deadly snipers prowl eastern Madagascar's humid forests. When a potential meal is spotted, they creep within striking range. With both eyes focusing directly towards their target, they unleash their weapon. A chameleon's tongue shoots out at an astonishing speed of 5 meters a second. This lethal appendage can be almost twice the length of the chameleon's body. Each attack is executed with pinpoint accuracy. How they do this has been a mystery for researchers until recently. We now know that surrounding the tongue bone is a spring of elastic tissue. This is loaded and then fired at prey, propelling the tongue at speeds greater than muscles alone would be able to do. The tip is also specially designed. Contrary to popular belief, it is not sticky, but rather has a suction cup that completely engulfs its prey. Finally, powerful jaws and sharp saw-like teeth ensure the victim is killed swiftly. Unlike most lizards, which live on the ground or on rocks, chameleons are highly adapted for their life in the trees. Flattened from the sides, their legs protrude directly under the body. This helps them balance on narrow branches and twigs without falling. Their tails are prehensile to grasp branches as they move, and they have strong, grasping feet. These are unlike any other lizard. On their front feet, they have 2 digits on the outside and 3 digits on the inside fused to form claspers. On their back feet, 3 toes are fused on the outside and 2 on the inside. Each digit ends in a short, sharp claw to improve grip. This evolutionary adaptation has allowed them to conquer Madagascar's dense forests, carving out a life for themselves in the trees. Of all their adaptations, the chameleon's ability to change color has captured our imagination more than any other. Renowned for their ability to match any background, this gift isn't just about camouflage. Several species alter their pigment as a way of communicating with potential mates, or to warn off rivals. Chameleon skin has 4 different layers, each containing specific primary color pigments. By opening and closing windows in the skin, they show more or less of a specific color. What's more, these primary colors overlap, and so, by using different combinations, chameleons are able to produce a rich palette of colors. While it is often believed chameleons change color for camouflage, this is in fact only part of the story. Its main job is very different. Unlike most lizards, chameleons are practically deaf. They rely primarily on visual communication. And their ability to change color is their way of talking to each other. They are actually speaking with their skin. This amazing ability is employed by the reptiles on a daily basis. A panther chameleon has noticed an intruder on his turf. Like most chameleons, he's incredibly territorial. So he moves in to investigate. The large male displays his anger. By the time the subordinate notices the danger, it's too late. He swings under the branch and floods his skin with melanin, the secret ingredient that changes his color. A clear show of submission. But the larger male isn't satisfied, and the youngster is sent on his way. The name chameleon is linked to the ancient Greek for lion. An apt name. While they look docile, their bite force is ferocious. Needle-sharp teeth combined with muscular jaws deliver fierce bites. Chameleons are not the only animals in the cold-blooded world that signal with their skin. Some 300 species of frogs thrive in Madagascar's humid rainforests. although biologists think this number could be as high as 450 or more, as new species are still being discovered. There are more frogs here than in any other African country. And all but one are endemic. Coming in a variety of shapes, sizes, and colors. From the inconspicuous and flamboyant to the simply outrageous. The mantella are one of the most diverse groups of frogs in Madagascar. Although many resemble the poison arrow frogs of South America because of their garish colors, they are in fact not closely related. Their toxicity has evolved separately, although in a remarkably similar way. Both the mantellas and poison arrow frogs do not produce the alkaloids that make them toxic themselves. Instead, they accumulate these chemicals into their skin from food they eat, such as ants and other small insects. The day-glow colors serve as a simple warning to predators. Danger, I'm poisonous. Potentially fatal for those that don't heed the warning. Along the east of the island, tropical rainforests thrive. Here, more than 2.5 meters of rain falls a year. Hot and damp, the forests support a wealth of life. Including 14 species of Europlatus gecko. While some are adapted to blend into the bark of trees, others prefer to remain hidden on the forest floor. Perfect mimics, taking on the shapes and colors of their background. The yellow, striped Europlatus may lack the frills and textures of the other species, but by relying on coloration to blend in, they can avoid predators. Some species, however, are hard to miss. Unlike most geckos that are creatures of the night, this phelsuma is active during the day. And while their nocturnal relatives tend to be drab and dreary, preferring to blend into their surroundings, phelsumas proudly strut their stuff. Their ability to stick to whichever surface they choose is remarkable. In order to do this, they have claws and a complex array of tiny hairs on the pads of their feet. These hairs are so tiny, they make temporary molecular bonds on contact, allowing the geckos to stick no matter how sheer the surface they are climbing. While many of Madagascar's cold-blooded creatures spend their life wanting to be seen, others have mastered the art of camouflage. In the central and eastern forests, the unique leaf-tailed geckos alter their color to match any tree. The outer edges of their bodies are fringed with frayed skin. They seamlessly blend into the background. Growing up to 30 centimeters long, they spend most of the day resting vertically, head down, on tree trunks. Only at night will they break cover to hunt. But in these forests, even the best camouflaged are in danger. The mossy, leaf-tailed gecko lies motionless despite the approaching predator. But the Fundri fiala senses an opportunity. The gecko remains still. The slightest movement could give his position away. But once the snake is locked on, no amount of camouflage will save him. And when the predator gets too close for comfort, it's time for Plan B. Many creatures have evolved to evade detection. A few have taken it to an extreme. While most chameleons live in the treetops, some have moved to the forest floor. This species of Bruchisia lives in the leaf litter. To help it balance in the uneven terrain, it uses its tail like a walking stick. The Bruchisia include the smallest species of chameleons in the world. Some are no bigger than the width of a human thumb. And when you're this small, everything in the forest looms large. Madagascar has a varied climate. While some areas are dry and parched, others receive monsoon rains for up to 4 months of the year. When the wet season arrives, it triggers a flurry of activity among the island's amphibians. It's the mating season, and male amberhetra frogs are on the hunt for a mate. Their dating strategy is simple. Make as much noise as possible. The problem is, yours is not the only song in town. As more and more frogs join the chorus, the intensity of each individual increases. Madagascan gold frogs are also looking for a mate. Calling becomes all-consuming. But drawing attention to yourself like this is not without its dangers. The commotion has attracted a tenrec. While he resembles a hedgehog, he is more closely related to African insectivores such as golden moles and elephant shrews. His ancestors were one of the island's late arrivals, drifting across on the floating vegetation by accident. Tonight, the castaway seems to be in luck. He has poor eyesight, but the frogs are putting on a show that is hard to miss. His highly sensitive nose and whiskers pick up the scent of dinner as he closes in on his prize. The amphibians' overwhelming urge to breed forces them to ignore one of the forest's basic survival skills. Don't draw attention to yourself. And for one, it's the last song he'll sing. To add to the male frog's misery, it seems their efforts have been in vain. The females haven't turned up. This early in the season, they are often reluctant to risk breeding without sufficient water to support their eggs. They must have plenty of water to breed successfully. One male decides to try a change of location in an attempt to lure a mate out. But the spot he's after is already taken. And the owner is not giving up without a fight. He will have to find another location and wait for the rains to bring him better luck. Further downstream, where the water levels are higher, a Madagascar gold frog has struck lucky. He's found a mate. The smaller male clings to the female's back with a powerful grip, for he has no intention of losing her to a rival male. a secluded pool away from the faster flowing waters and predators of the stream provides the perfect location for the couple to leave their young. The male plays his part and fertilizes her eggs as she lays them. The eggs are safe, for now. In just a few days' time, they will hatch, and the tadpoles will feed from the pool while they grow, before heading out to face the many challenges of life along Madagascar's waterways. In the dry, deciduous forests to the west of the island, yet another family of reptiles are entering the breeding season. 30-centimeter long plated lizards. With the imminent arrival of the rains, they have timed their mating perfectly. By the time their offspring hatch, they will have an explosion of insect life to feed on. Giving them the best possible chance for survival. Courtship is high on the agenda in the cold-blooded community. A male elephant-eared chameleon is strutting his stuff. Named for the flaps of skin on the side of his head, he too is looking for love. Chameleons do not have ear holes, and his headgear has only one purpose: signaling. He's spotted a female. He nods his head invitingly. Sadly, she doesn't seem impressed. He thinks twice and backs away. Unhappy females can deliver a nasty bite. But despite the initial rejection, he summons the courage for another attempt. Maybe nodding a little more enthusiastically will convince her. Maybe not. Finally, he gives up and decides to try his luck elsewhere. Across the island, cold-blooded creatures have found niches for themselves amongst the varied landscapes. Rocky habitats are favored by a variety of reptile species. The most conspicuous of these are the Lemurs lizards. The availability of rock boulders to clamber about and deep cracks to shelter within suits them perfectly. Boulder scrambling is ideally suited for their basking needs, as well as providing a podium for social interactions. Oplurus lizards are distantly related to the true iguanas of South America. Their presence on Madagascar is directly attributed to the fact that their ancestors already occupied the region at the time of the Gondwanian breakup. The granite outcrops of central Madagascar also provide their daily nourishing. Despite getting most of their moisture from the insects they feed on, even dragons need to quench their thirst from time to time. Rock Oplurus are not the only one of their kind in the neighborhood. Upon closer inspection, a second species can be distinguished. The four-spot Oplurus has an overall more chubby stature, with a rounded body and a sizable head. The two species coexist in harmony, dominating the scene on their rocky refuge. An altogether different kind of Oplurus can be found living in the trees of Madagascar's northern forests. Each finger and toe ends in a sharp claw, which enables a good grip on a tree trunk for this spiny-tailed lizard. By night, and during the hottest time of the day, they shelter in tree holes or cracks. They remain attentive to predators on the outside of their homes. But one can never be too careful with Madagascar's key predator, the fossa, in the area. The largest carnivore in Madagascar, at 80 centimeters long, they feed on a variety of animals. But there is one cold-blooded creature that travels with its own protection. In the spiny desert to the south of the island, it's a hot, sandy, dry environment. Although fossa may not pose a threat to the spider tortoise because of its hard shell, extreme heat can be a killer. They have to bask in the early morning sun to mobilize themselves into action. Later in the day, the prospects of overheating becomes a real hazard. The sand itself is scorching, and it is inadvisable to linger long out in the open. It makes a dash to the nearest bit of shade. Midday is hellishly hot in the desert. On the sand lives another iguana-like saurian. It's a Dungalia lizard. Their toes are dramatically elongated. This is useful for running on the loose, soft desert sand. The male Dungalia lizard has a prominent crest on his neck and back. On top of his head, he boasts a white-edged dark spot, It is a light-sensitive organ. It serves to regulate hormone production for both males and females. Throughout the cold-blooded world, adaptations have allowed animals to conquer habitats and master life on this ancient island. Madagascar is an island of extremes. From the dry forests of the west through the dripping tropical jungles of the east, to the spiny desert in the south. A unique mix of unusual creatures have adapted perfectly to their environment. But its true majesty lies in the smaller, often overlooked species that live in the island's hidden kingdoms. Here, a charismatic cast play out their lives. Adapted for survival, every day is a battle. But Madagascar's misfits have found an idyllic setting to hunt, hide, and raise the next generation of cold-blooded castaways.